family did not manage to get on that plane or any plane. So to update us on where the family is now, we're joined by Joe Warmington in Toronto. Joe, thank you so much for making time for us.
It's good to be with you, Natasha. You know, that video there, that's right at the Abbey Gate at the Kabul airport. And right after that, you know what happened. Big explosion. I think a total of 60 people that were killed, including 13 American soldiers. And so you can see how close they came to death. And his little 2-year-old daughter almost died there of heat, you know, the lack of water and all that. So there's a lot of people in this boat. And this family is amongst them that have had a really hard year here as they're trying to survive.
So, Joe, that image that we just showed was from back in August. We're in December now. Where is Ahmed and his family now?
Well, at first, after, you know, the Afghan government fell and all those efforts to get people out at the Kabul airport failed, he hid out in Kabul for quite a while, and then he eventually moved over to Pakistan, which is where he is now. And he's been over there for, I think, maybe about 3 weeks now. And, you know, we've got him to the 1-yard line. He's been approved to come to Canada, but the problem is that, you know, the diplomatic relationship between Canada and Pakistan is not working, and there's a lot of people stranded there, and he's one of them.
So, Joe, can you help me understand what is Ahmed's relationship with Canada, and what is Canada's obligation to him and his family, if we have any at all?
Well, we have a promise to him. I mean, he's been approved. His family's been approved. Now, we've been fighting for that, but we've got visas for everybody.
Approved for him to get refugee status in Canada. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, I think it's more of a special program for Afghans to come, and particularly in his case being an interpreter. So, yeah, there's a program that the Liberal government brought in before the election, and they're supposed to honor it. They have done very well in getting many interpreters and also people that are teachers and different, you know, journalists and things like that there here. And there's lots that are sort of stuck in the red tape, and that's where he's at now. Our obligation to him, I mean, he only served 7 years with NATO, Canada being a big part of that. He was my interpreter. He was Christy Blatchford's interpreter. He was Matthew Fisher's interpreter. I bet you some of your CBC colleagues know him. He's paid his dues, and he's done a lot for this country, more than many people can say.
Before we go to his status and how he's going to come to Canada, and hopefully the family can eventually get out of Pakistan, talk to me about your relationship with him and what kind of guy he is, and in what ways he supported the Canadian mission there.
You know, he's a great guy. I mean, I just met him once, and I was there in 2011 for 8 nights. I went with Lieutenant Colonel Tony White of the Canadian military, who was working out of Brussels with NATO. And Ahmed, we nicknamed Radar because of Radar O'Reilly. I don't know if the audience will remember MASH or not, but he's very much that guy who's always ahead of the game. He knows when the helicopters are flying and where the dangers are. So, you know what, he kept us alive there. You know, there was 22 people killed all around me when I was there. There was many weeks, and other journalists had, you know, way more treacherous weeks than I had, or times that I had. But I could credit him with my life. And at the time, myself and Tony White talked about trying to get him to come to Canada, and he was interested. But he also wanted to marry his love of his life there. Her name is Tamanat.
As you were speaking to us, Joe, we could see the pictures of the family, and, you know, they look like any family you might meet here, just loving, want the best for their future and for their kids. Now, someone might say, well, he got out of Afghanistan, and now he's in Pakistan. Why can't he just stay there? What are the prospects of Ahmed's family just living there?
Well, that would be up to Pakistan. I mean, Pakistan has got quite a burden on their shoulders, too. They've got over 1 million refugees from Afghanistan. That's not a new problem for Pakistan, but they've been very warm and caring and looking after people. But, you know, there's only so much they can be asked to do. And, you know, it wasn't them that pulled out of Afghanistan, and it wasn't them that Ahmed Siddiqui and all the other interpreters and the like worked for. It was Canada and U.S. and Great Britain and places like that. So, you know, I think that Pakistan has done enough, and they're doing plenty. Now, having said that, you know, I understand their concern, but all they have to do is sign a piece of paper for Ahmed and others like him and families like theirs to get on an airplane and get to Canada.
So if it's that simple, Joe, why? Forgive me, if it's that simple, why haven't they done it already? What are they telling you or him?
Well, I talked to the Pakistan authorities, and they're not saying a lot. I don't have a lot of connections there, but they've been very friendly about it. I think, if I can speculate a little bit, as a journalist that's covered this conflict for many years, is that I think they're looking for some help. I mean, so I think that Canada can provide some of that help by processing and by, these the kind of they call the biometrics and get some boots on the ground there to help them with this crisis. It's a humanitarian crisis. Now, it's even worse in Afghanistan. And that's the other problem they've got, Natasha, in that, if they let Ahmed Siddiqui and his family get on the plane, that could encourage many more people to rush the border there, and they just can't handle all that. So this is a complicated matter, and there's nobody that's bad in it. There's lots of people that could do better, for sure, but including the Canadian government. But again, I don't want to be too hard on them either, because this is a big problem. And what I'm trying to do is remind people that, yes, the election's over, and yes, everybody cares about the pandemic and all of that. Those are important issues, but this is important too, because we've given people like Ahmed Siddiqui our word, and our word means a lot in this world. And this family, as you can see from the pictures, deserves to come here. And you know what? I'm vouching for him, and there's many others that are, General Milner and Wendy Long from Afghan Interpreters. And so let's hope it happens. We're just really close to it. All that we need is someone to sign something. And if we could get the Canadian government, it's going to have to be probably the Prime Minister to make a call to Prime Minister Khan over there, and let's move about 1,500 people right away. We should send flights this week and get them here for Christmas.
Joe, very quickly, because we're running out of time, if Canada does not do what they promised for this family, what's going to happen?
Well, I mean, I guess on the positive, if Pakistan will let them stay there, they could eke out a life there. I mean, it's obviously they're pleased with where they are. It's not, they're not living in luxury, but it's not as dangerous as Afghanistan. But if they are deported back to Afghanistan, which Pakistan has every right to do, then I don't like what will happen to them. I mean, I don't want to say, but we all know what happens to women and children. Obviously, people that work with NATO over there. We're hearing the reports, and then just even if you can survive that, I mean, the starvation that's happening now and all these things. And look, it's one of the greatest and most tragic, things that's happened in my lifetime. When I was in Afghanistan, I actually bought into the idea that we were turning it around. And I don't know if you've been there, Natasha, but it's a beautiful country and beautiful people. And there are, I think it's our responsibility. We didn't finish the job there. That's politics for you, but we can't forget this family, and that's why I think it's important. Now, this is just one family. I've helped to work with people over the years to get others out of there, including James and Cam, who came to Canada. But this family represents many others that we should bring here to Canada right away.
Okay, Joe, thanks so much for your time today.
Nice to be with you. All the best.
You too. Joe Warmington is with the Toronto Sun.